slash interviewing skills.
You can always be like,
Picture of me like Tracy. Really understand how awkward I am. You're watching Nelson Du Bois Show.
Conor Deery, welcome to the show.
hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me. It's really cool.
Well, let's get straight into it. Can you tell me where you are at the moment?
I am in a place called Westport in Ireland, in County Mayo. I'm on a hill called Sandy Hill. That's where I live right now. Obviously, with the outbreak of this crazy virus, everything's a bit all over the place, and I'm stranded here. But there are worse places to be stranded. It's beautiful. It really is.
Exactly, yeah. And you ended up in Ireland through a crazy series of events. Can you briefly, well, even not briefly, break down the Alex G experience or the Alex G story and how you ended up trotting across the globe?
Man.
Well,
I guess
how about if you just start with who Alex G is?
Alex G.
And how you came
He's
to
like
know.
my favorite artist, man. He's great. He's a really, really great artist. He's been called like one of the best contemporary artists of our time, which I couldn't agree more with. He's well deserving, and like I think it's very important for someone as creative and prolific as him to be so publicly known. I think it's a very important artistic movement. So basically, I just admire him a lot, and I've bought all his albums, and I'm a big fan. And then I basically was playing a show in Adelaide where I lived, where I grew up, where I was raised. And I met a guy who is from Philadelphia, which is also where Alex is from. And he, grew up sort of palling around with people who are in the same circles as Alex G's band members and Alex G. And I'm just a dude, basically, like from Adelaide. I just kind of got this crazy opportunity to meet some amazing people through this show I was playing in Adelaide, and I was working on this album for a long time. I was kind of drifting apart from some of the bands I was part of, and trying to push more of a solo endeavor. I found I really enjoyed writing by myself. A lot of my best work happened that way. And I got this opportunity to work with an amazing person called Tom Kelly. He's wonderful. He mixed my album for me. I traveled to Philly to meet him, and we got in touch via my friend in Adelaide who was from Philly. And that was a really, really crucial part of my experience. I thought it was mind-blowing. Like, it was absolutely cosmic as hell, and my view on things has since changed quite a lot. So basically just working really hard on this album, and I got this opportunity to top it all off, get it mixed and mastered in Philly. So I traveled there, met some wonderful people. They were all so nice and welcoming, and finished the album. I think that kind of explains it in short. It was just amazing. Like, I couldn't believe my luck, couldn't believe anything. Like, even just going to America was amazing. And then the fact that that music actually took me there was really important. It wasn't just going there for a holiday. Like, I was there to work, and that felt really important to me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so all this started in little old Adelaide, and you were just approached, is that right, by somebody at a gig?
Actually, I was playing at a place called the Hotel Metropolitan, a lovely little pub, and this guy was wearing this Alex G hoodie, and I was like, dude, great hoodie, like, I love that. And my phone cover at the time was like Beach Music by Alex G, the album, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, yo, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, I'm from Philly, man. I'm like, oh shit, like that's amazing. And then we got chatting, and I'm not sure about whose names I should drop. I don't know. But basically, he's a great guy. He makes a lot of music under the name Pablo Narlson on Spotify. He's just shown me that, and we sort of exchanged demos on Bandcamp for a little bit. And then a year later, when I was sort of at the tail end of my first full-length album, he came back to Adelaide on a work trip or something, and he's like, yo, do you want to hang out? And we played at an open mic night together, and it was really fun. Yeah, we hung out and jammed a bunch and just got to know him. It was incredible, this guy from the other side of the world. And it's just kind of snowballed from there. And I'm not like done yet. The album's not quite out. It'll be another week or so before it's out. And yeah, I'm not sure how much to say. Like, really, I'm just a dude who met some crazy people. And I love music and I love art, and it's taken me all the way across the world. And I'll just never forget it, like, ever.
Yeah, wow. That is such a crazy coincidence, and
Yeah,
I certainly can't think of very many people more deserving of something that crazy to happen.
Oh, thanks, man.
So how quickly after kind of being introduced to this circle of people did you decide that you need to move, as opposed to just going to the US to do some work and do some mixing? How quickly did you decide this needs to be at least a temporary change of location in terms of living?
I think I admittedly was finding myself growing bitter about where I was living. I love Adelaide. There's a lot of beautiful people there. I just think like I had, for the time, I'd outgrown it, I think, if I may say so. I think I was playing in a lot of bands and working my arse off and just really feeling, I guess, kind of underappreciated. That sounds kind of selfish, but like I really was working hard, and I was still very poor and struggling a lot. And this was my opportunity to try something new and something like amazing and new. And just to have a break from, I guess, music all the time is really important. So yeah, I got this opportunity to break out of Adelaide for a little bit. I don't know, I might end up back there. I don't really know. I kind of hope at this stage I don't. I love Ireland. I've always loved Ireland. I grew up, my parents are from here, so I kind of came back and forth as a kid, and now I'm living here. I can't even remember the question. Sorry, man. I got sidetracked.
No, that's okay. At what point in all of this, kind of meeting people and deciding that you needed to go to the US, at what point did you decide this is a move? It's not just a holiday, and it's not just a brief work trip. It's a move.
Right. Okay. I kind of decided that from the get-go, to be honest. Like I was saying, I was feeling very just stuck, like a bit of a big fish, and I just felt I'm not a fish, man. I'm a person, and like I got aspirations. And the original plan was to move to the US, but I've kind of just been figuring it out as I go. I didn't have a solid plan. Like I got my visa sorted and everything. That was really hard, but it wasn't a resident visa, and I didn't have like a proper job or wasn't employed. So staying in the US was going to be tough. Obviously I didn't have much money. I don't have much money. So like the best option for me was I told myself I'm not going back to Adelaide. I'm not going back yet. Like I'm not, I'll go back on tour, but I'm not going back to live just yet. So Ireland is has always been my second home, my ancestral home. And I'm just like, it just worked out well that I'd spend Christmas there with family because that was the time of year. And I'd spend New Year's with family, and then I'd start putting my foot down and opening up some bank accounts and doing all the residential things when you move to a new country, getting all the paperwork sorted, getting on the books. I'm lucky to have an Irish passport as well, so it works really well.
Yeah. So just to be clear, you started off planning to go to the US and did indeed go to the US and did a bit of work there on your album. And then you spent time with your family in Ireland over Christmas 2019, and then you're now there currently.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, can you walk us through, actually, before you do that, how finished was your album when you when you headed over to the US?
Have finished. It was done.
Done.
All the production was done. I'd written everything. It was all recorded at home. All of it was finished. I just felt like I needed another pair of ears to mix it because I cannot mix it. I spent like close to 2 years on that thing. Just consistent like work on it, really. Just working every day, not trying to perfect it because that's not really what I was going for, but trying to get the general concept and the flow of the album spot on. And I spent a lot of time adding layers and taking away things and trying new things and improvising and experimenting. When it came to mixing, like I had heard it literally a million times and I wanted nothing to do with it. So this worked really well. To get someone like Tom's ears on it was so fucking great. And like he's a wizard, and I just can't ever forget that, you know. Oh, and Kieran as well. Another guy, Kieran, helped mix it. They have this like tag team approach to mixing, and I kind of helped where I could, but tried to just have full faith in their process, and it worked out really well. It sounds great.
Fantastic. Can we move on to a different type of work that you've been doing quite a bit of in Ireland?
Right.
Specifically on your auntie's property.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that briefly? Yeah.
It's been really cool, like to just kind of treat it like a project. I've been building a lot of things. I've been building fences and I've been building walls for the time being. It's kind of a nice break from music. I feel like I'm putting my hands to good use, which is what I enjoy doing the most. So yeah, in between jobs and in between things like that, it's been great to just feel useful and to exert a lot of energy, perhaps not artistically like I would usually be doing, but in another way. And it's just a great learning experience. Constructing things is always creating things is what I love doing, you know?
Yeah. I think as context, I don't know how long I'll be making this podcast for, or
right.
Yeah, but I guess well, first of all, I apologize to listeners and viewers if there are any for the for the technical minimalism. It's literally just a Google Hangout and computer microphones for now, because of the situation we're in right now with the coronavirus lockdown. I'm in Berlin, you're in Ireland, and I can't. I literally can't go out and get any microphones or anything.
No, it's a very trying time for everybody, you know, and it's really cool and really admirable that you're keeping on with something like this. It keeps the morale up, you know, like it's important.
Yeah, well, thank you. Have on top of the craft and the making that you've been doing, you've also been doing a lot of reflecting from what we've been.
I've had a lot of time to think, man, like a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of time to myself. It's been crazy. Like I never thought I would ever have that. And like part of me was like, yes, I love this. Like in this weird selfish way. I think I love people a lot. I love them so much that I'm just always involved with them in a multitude of ways, and it's just very busy. And I guess a lot of people are like that. But it has been nice to take a break from that lifestyle and just live kind of a farmer hermit lifestyle for a little bit and just really enjoy existing. I feel like I've been in some crazy liminal space for the last few months, which has been great. I've, made a couple of friends here. In Westport, I don't have much family. My family's mostly in Dublin and Wexford. But it's kind of good that way. It's a nice, it's a beautiful country area actually, and um, I don't know really what else to say on that. Like it's been a lot of walking, a lot of reflecting, which is what I do a lot anyway. Like even during the album process, I would just go for bike rides and listen back and see if it's flowing, and then listen to other artists I really like and kind of see if it flows in a similar way. I don't know. Yeah, it's been a lovely break from everything. I'm just hiding from life, really.
Yeah. In that period of making and reflecting and walking and listening to music and generally being by yourself,
Yeah.
is there one or maybe two, perhaps let's start with one, is there one thing that you've changed your mind about in the last 3 months?
One thing I've changed my mind about, right? I'm really hard on myself about things like that. Um, Obviously, sometimes I feel like I'm a huge loner, and I'll always be a loner. And like, no, I don't want to do that. But I am a human person, as much as I sometimes wish I wasn't. I I have feelings, I have emotions, and
Sorry, I
sorry.
think we just lost you very briefly. Do you mind to just recap real quick?
Basically, I'm very emotional, I'm very sensitive, and like it's not that it gets in the way of things. Like that's who I am, and I think at the start of this whole mission I'm on was like I'm never coming back to Adelaide. I'm so done. Like, and I do feel a bit bad about saying that because there's a lot of people I love there and a lot of bands I play in, a lot of bands I'm involved in from there and I love. But I think I'm on the right track. I feel like I'm on the right track. I'm just trusting myself and learning to balance sticking to my guns and um, not being crazy hard on myself.
Right.
Yeah, I've kind of changed my mind a little bit on perhaps what I want to do in the future. Just been kind of figuring that out. Like I really would like to tour this album. I'd like to do another record, um, a more collaborative record. I think I had that in mind anyway, but rather than changing my mind, it kind of just reinstilled those thoughts. But yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that
Am
makes
I
a lot of
making?
sense. Yeah, and it's a similar thing that I've been thinking a lot about over the last 3 to 6 months of just it's fine to want to improve yourself, but you have to do that in a way that that is encouraging for yourself and not out of self-hatred. It's out of
Totally. Yeah.
yeah,
I think.
yeah,
Oh, your intention is so important. You know, like your intention
yeah,
of what you intend for yourself and others is kind of the most important bit. Like execution is almost half as important as the intention of said execution. You know, that applies to music.
100%.
It applies to art. It applies to your life. I think.
Absolutely. I think too, and I think that you're correct. Can we talk about your morning routine or lack thereof?
Okay.
So, so whether it's intentional or not, what time would you usually wake up?
Excuse me. Sorry, I got a biscuit. I would try. I try to wake up before 9 o'clock every morning. I don't have like a strict schedule at the moment. Everything's a bit all over the place. Obviously, for everyone, it's a crazy time to be living in. I think I try and get up these days. It's very fluid. Like I change a lot according to what I believe I need to be doing. Like I haven't really been sure what I ought to be doing since I finished this album. Really, like it was such a huge part of my life. Every single day, and I would do a little bit on it, and it was just part of my lifestyle. And now I don't have my studio. I don't have any of my gear. I have nothing. So it's really hard to know what I'm supposed to be doing. But I still try and make music at least once a day, and I'll listen to music. I've got off track here. I think I wake up in the morning. I'll try and do like a bit of exercise. I'll do some push-ups. and stuff like that.
Is that first thing? Like the first thing you do is...
That's what I'm trying to instill in myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get some blood flowing and like exercise a little bit. Slept in today.
That's okay.
Yeah. So in terms of morning routine, get up. I'll make some breakfast, have a shower, and do a bit of exercise. Not necessarily in that order, but like
yeah.
outside and
Okay.
go for a walk. I love walking.
Right. I think let's just... Yeah, I'm missing a little bit of what you're saying, but I think I've got enough there to cut it up. Let's just wait for the computer to rebuffer a bit, and then get into the next line of questioning.
Everybody knows it.
All right, maybe this will be just audio. this first one.
Yeah. Well, for all you listeners, he looks very handsome.
So, can you tell me what is big romance? How did you make the transition into what was before big romance into what is now big romance? And then, yeah, I don't have any specific questions around this. I would just love it if you could kind of talk freely around that, and then we can get into your album, whether this interview comes out before your album comes out or just after, hopefully at the latest. Yeah, bit of a
So what is big romance? I think like at this stage now, it's developed into this like separate entity to me. It's like this like crazy fluid, gender fluid, artistically fluid, existentially fluid being who just kind of is and creates everything they want. Yeah, and like I've just kind of adopted it as all my artistic work. Do you know what I mean? And it could be a label, it could be an album, it could be a movie, it could be a painting. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's just become the separate entity to me. It's like a headspace I get into when I want to just work on music and stuff that actually feels like it's more important than anything else in my life. That's right now. You know, it's evolved. Like it sort of was my band. I was in a band, I kind of led a band, Free from Vernon, for a while. That was my main focus, and then my life just kind of got out of my control. I was very much, you know, not to toot my own horn, but in demand as a session musician, as a I don't know, co-producer, and I was spending a lot of time in studios and a lot of time. We did a bit of touring, and I love those bands. I was playing in Dean Forever, God bless him, one of my favorite all-time favorite bands. A lot, and like heaps of bands, playing a lot of projects, and I felt like my band was just swept under the rug, and I didn't love that. So I decided to sort of take it into my own hands, and I realized I write better by myself. And the name Big Romance kind of evolved after I'd written a bunch of stuff for it. It's kind of a homage to, like the big romance. Like I think everyone has the big romance in their life, and I certainly did. And it's not to say that I'll never love again. I just think like I really appreciated that relationship, and I'll always remember it and love it. And that was kind of what I named it after in a way.
Right.
The big romance, you know. Like, I'm just trying to like honor something that was, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, and now the name's kind of stuck, and that's how music seems to work. An artist picks a name and just carries it with their career. But I don't even know, man. Like, I'm happy to just release a ton of work, perhaps under different names. I don't know, but Big Romance is kind of cool. It's my producer name. It's like my artist name. It's, like I said, kind of this separate entity to me.
Yeah. Do you?
But it's not set. Like it doesn't have to be a solo project all the time. I'm very happy to collaborate and have bands. It could be whatever. You know, it's really fluid.
are you treating it in any sense like a pseudonym, or you said that it has some kind of separation from you? Is that for
Yeah.
any
Well, I
particular reason?
suppose not really. I think I just coping with living as a human person and as an artist are two very distinctly different lives.
Yeah,
I think, but yeah, it's my pseudonym. I can't run away from that. Like
yeah,
it, it's a pseudonym, and I like that. I would prefer that to someone just calling me Conor Deery when they don't really know me. You
totally.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, some people like that. Some people don't like that. I just prefer my work to be separate from my life,
yeah,
I guess. Maybe I'll change my
yeah.
mind. I don't know.
It's just like calling Steve Jobs Mr. Apple. It's like it wouldn't really, it wouldn't really happen.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
just
me.
because, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
just because Conor Deery is the CEO of Big Romance
Big
Incorporated
romance.
doesn't really mean that he's always going to be that person.
Yeah, I think yeah. It's part of who I am. It's a big part of who I am. But I'm just trying to put everything I love in one place, really, which is what the big romance is kind of is, you know.
Mm.
Like I like a lot of media. I listen to a lot
Mm.
of music. Watch a lot of movies. Like, and it's just an eclectic mix of everything I love, like all in one spot. And I hope my
Mm.
album will reflect that as much as I believe it does, you know.
Yeah. Mm. And what's your album called? And when
This
is it coming
album
out?
is coming out on March 31st, 2020. I've decided. That's another thing, like the release. I've never released an album before. Like, there's no label
Mm.
helping me, so I just been kind of figuring it out as I go.
Yeah.
Um, it's called Infinite Mixtape. So it's kind of it is an album, but it's just a release, really. Like people love that, like an album or a mixtape or an EP or a single. Like it's just a body of work, and I think Infinite Mixtape was a really nice title. A lot of this
Mm.
was like started a couple years ago in the first inception of the idea. I just think it sounded really cool. It is a mixtape by Eminem as well. Please don't sue me. A total accident. But Infinite Mixtape just sounded cool, and that was a very boyish name. I just thought it was a bit like immature, and like I loved that. I just really wanted to
Yeah.
stick to my guns and just see what's the saying, like stay the course, you know, in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Like let the mistakes be the mistakes, and like there's a lot about the album that is gritty and incorrect and imperfect, and like a lot of it is just I just left it there because like, and that's why I suppose it is more of a mixtape than an album.
Mhm.
Does that make any sense? Like, when I was first coming up, well, I was in Ireland a couple of years ago at the beginning of all this, having a real like spiritual journey and like figuring out more about who I am. And I was listening
Mm.
to a lot of hip hop at the time, and I just noticed like I don't know, like a lot of rappers have a mixtape first, and like I'm still learning. Like is not a
Yeah. Okay.
this is not like a an album to me because I'm still learning as I go. I'm learning to be a producer. I'm learning to be a better musician, and I just
Mhm.
want to take the role of the eternal student, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why it's kind of called Infinite Mixtape. I could tell you a
Mm.
million reasons why, but I think that kind of describes how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's an incredible way of looking at it, really. The infinite learner, infinite mixtape.
Yeah,
Mixtape being something that's unfinished and still in.
yeah, it's just raw, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm happy with it. I spent a lot of time on it. I can say that with pride. Like I put everything
Mm.
I have into it, like everything, like everything,
Yeah.
you know. Um, yeah, every essence of my fucking being. Like,
Yeah.
so I hope,
How
yeah.
how did you take um when did you begin this album?
Um, it wasn't intentional. Like I didn't never sit down and say, oh, I'm gonna write an album. Like
Yeah.
I think my band was kind of just I was just writing so many songs, and I just felt like I don't know, I needed to do something different. And then I had this trip to Ireland a couple of years ago, and I was just writing a bunch of demos for my band, just for demo's sake, just to be writing and to play them
Mhm.
live around Adelaide and stuff like that. And then I sort of decided, okay, I really want to write a bunch of songs and get it recorded at a studio or whatever, like most people would do in the city I was in.
Mm.
But then I just kept kind of writing and writing, and then people like Alex G became more prevalent in my life, and they were just really really creative, and that really inspired me. They didn't let things like silly rules determine what the outcome of a release has to be. It doesn't have to be anything. And I kind of went down this path of this avant-garde, like existential, far out journey of just writing songs and letting the demo be the song. Like the demo is the song. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like we don't live in
Mhm.
a world where it's you write a bunch of demos and you give it to a record label and they sign you. It's not like that anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you yourself are the record label and you have to decide whether the demo is good enough for you. If it is, you elaborate on it and you keep working at it. And like I was gonna do a single, and then that turned into like, oh, let's do an EP. Oh fuck, Connor, let's do it like an album. Like why not? Like no one is doing albums in Adelaide. Like
Mm.
I can do that. It's just
Yeah.
gonna take a lot of time. So and then I don't know. It developed as it went. It's a really cool saying. My friend told me like, it's easier to steer a moving wheel.
Yeah.
I've sort of
Sure.
I've sort of lived by that for a while now. And I was just going through a lot in my life. Like I got back from Ireland and went through this huge breakup, and oh, it was awful. And I moved back in with my parents, and I had this car accident, and I just felt like I was ready to die. Literally, like I was just
Mm.
fucked. I was so fucked. Very dark indeed. Which is why I'm kind of glad I'm at the tail end of this album now as well. Like I made it. I didn't kill myself. I'm here. I'm fucking on the other side of the world. You
Mm.
know, um, and like it's just done. It's over. Like that dark part of my life is over. And
Mhm.
sure, the album might be a reminder of that, but it's also like a personal success. So the album, it just turned into this thing where I was like, I'm gonna write a full album, and I don't care what anyone says. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna make art by any means necessary. I had this like existential crisis. I was really not sure what I was doing. I'd finished my university degree, just all this stuff. Like, what the hell do I do now? And like, it just became my mission. My life had no structure, so I just decided to make my own structure, I guess.
Yeah.
I just kept writing songs and then elaborating on them and recording them. And then as the years went on, or the year that was the bulk of the album, I would just save up with this shit part-time jobs. And buy the next piece of gear I thought I might like to use. Or this might sound nice, or buy a laptop. I have a MacBook now. That's cool. Like I never
Mm.
dreamed of having that. Like I never had enough money, but I really just got into this headspace of like, I will work as long as I need to work in order to get the thing, because the main mission that I'm always on, the mission I'm always on is to have the album done. And like,
Mm.
yeah, and that just became my entire life, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, these are some dark topics, I guess, and you
yeah, I know.
can.
I'm sorry, man. It's
No,
just
no, no.
like
That's
it's
absolutely fine. You can dig into them as much as you like.
yeah,
Like to what extent did music as an art form play in pulling you out of that, or and also music as a craft in terms of
right.
like showing up to the desk every day and just doing something,
Yeah.
or, and even just listening to music, or
Yeah. Oh no, it totally enveloped me. Like
mm,
I was obsessed. I really was. Like when I wasn't playing drums for people, that's kind of what I do as well. Like I was playing a lot of drums, getting any money I could from any session work I could find. Um, and I love it. I really do love it. But like what I really love is composition and recording and producing and like creating something from nothing. And I think
mm,
the idea of that really, I don't know, I just got in this mode where I was reading like self-help books and stuff and just focusing on
mm,
what I actually want from my life and what I want to do. it's not the most clear pathway, but I found some clarity in what I should be doing in between rehearsals with other bands and my own band and everything.
Yeah.
I just thought this was what I ought to be doing, you know. And I've had some great mentors that have helped me as well. I can't take that for granted.
Mm. Are there any books specifically that you drew from heavily?
Yeah, there's one. There's because like I'm all over the place sometimes. Like I'm very scattered. I've always struggled with like ADHD and things like that as a kid. Um, but Focus. There's one book called Focus. It's really cool. Just helped me like realize like how to. Oh, it sounds so stupid, but like to like hyper focus on things that are going to matter in the future and sort of foreseeing that they will matter.
Right.
Daniel Goleman's the author. It's a great book. He wrote like the emotional intelligence books. I don't know if you read those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just using your powers for good is basically what I sort of realized. Like I have, you know, certain abilities that I believe are like gifts in some ways. Like I'm quite good at what I do, and like I want to help people with that because I know now how real shit can get and how hardcore people's lives are. You know, and I want to continue learning and helping people, and music is my means of doing that. You know, like
Yeah.
that's what I believe anyway.
Is aside from yourself, like I know you quite well. Actually, we haven't even got into this. Like we know each other very well. We lived
Yeah,
together
boy.
for 2 years. No, 1 year.
We lived together for a year, but like we lived
Yeah.
together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Now I forgot where I was going. So yeah, not that I think you are a selfish person at all. You're in fact very the opposite. But what are the aside from personal reasons, like financial security and wanting to have something to do that fulfills you, what are the reasons that you do what you do, and how do other people play into that?
Like why I do music, like why I do art, why I do that stuff.
Yeah, like why do music? You could do anything. Like, as you were just saying, the
Yeah.
book Focus and so many other things that suggest that you have this power that you can harness to do anything you want. Why
Yeah.
is it music for you? Is it just because you're good at it, or is it
It's an
because
interesting question. I think I think about this a lot, man. Like I think too much, but this is something like that comes up in my head regularly. Like, how dare my parents like put me on a drum kit when I'm a kid? Like, how dare you? Like, I'm broke now.
yeah.
No, but like, no, I really appreciate it. Obviously, my parents are like, I'm very lucky to have two parents, let alone good parents. You know.
Yeah.
But fuck, yeah, they've been absolutely. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing like they've been so good and like really patient with me, and they put me into music. And I suppose my dad was the drummer for a lot of punk bands in Ireland, and like singer. I'm kind of just born into it. I feel like I don't have a choice, and I accept that. Music has been a huge part of my life. I went to music school. I went to music at university, and it's I can't quit now, you know. And like
Yeah.
I love it. Like it's my love. It's always been there for me. I will always give back to it. I never want to disrespect it. You know, it's a fine line when you start talking about selling your music and everything. But I think I'm doing okay. I never want to betray it. It's the love of my life. It really is. Like perhaps that's the big romance. I don't know. But no, I honestly I get restless so easy in all the jobs I've had in my lifetime so far. I just oh man, like there's a lot of the about it I love, and I've had some good jobs more recently too, like very good jobs. But I've had a lot of terrible, menial, degrading jobs too, and like music got me through that, and it just helps reinstill the fact that music is the number one force in my life. Like I don't know. And just art in general. I love it. It's my purpose. Like I have to accept it. It's nearly killed me. Like sorry to talk over you, but like it's almost killed me. Like I mean it. Like this album nearly fucking killed me. But like it actually took me across the whole world. You know, like I was not cool for a minute there. Like it was fucked. My life was in fucking pieces. And like and music did that to me. Like I'm so broke because all I'm doing is music. And like how fucking dare you? But actually it's a strange beast, man. You know? Like, but I'm good. Now I'm good. I'm alive. I got a roof on my head, even though all this crazy coronavirus stuff's going on and there's people a lot worse off than me. So yeah. I want to be a good leader as well. And I think that's something music has allowed me to do too. Like ever since I was very young, I've always tried to inspire people and help them. And I don't know, man. I'm not like special. I'm just saying, like that's what I enjoy. Even as a child, like looking back, like I kind of like mediating and helping people work through things. And music is a great platform to do that.
Yeah. That is, very enlightening.
Cool.
Okay, I might just take a quick break. How are you feeling? Thank you so much for everything that you're.
Thank you for having me, man. This is great. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
My biscuit fell in my tea, so it's a bit soggy. Yeah.
Do you want to just stay on the line, and I'll be right back. Conor Deery, welcome back.
Welcome back. It's me. It's Corn Dog.
Okay, so I want to hit you with some rapid fire questions. Your answers don't necessarily have to be rapid fire, but the questions themselves are designed to just kind of rattle off really quickly. So first one, 3 artists that influenced you when you were 19.
When I was 19. Oh fuck. Fuck you, man. 19. I think I really, really liked. Oh, dude, I listen to like a million artists a day. I'm sorry. Okay, 3 main ones. When I was 19 years old, let's say Paul Dempsey, or like Something for Kate, like definitely. So I just finished high school. I was at university for the first time. Probably Biffy Clyro when I was 19, really big. And Something for Kate, Paul Dempsey. Does that count as one? That counts as one. Sure.
Yeah, that's one.
And so Paul Dempsey / Something for Kate.
2 extremely complex artists, but let's put them in one. Yeah.
Dude, they got a new album coming out. I can't wait. Anyway, Paul Dempsey / Something for Kate, Biffy Clyro, and maybe Tears for Fears. I think I was really into them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When I was 19, I always loved just like 80s music. I don't know. But yeah, 19 probably. Nice.
Cool. Okay. Who or what did you listen to yesterday?
Yesterday. A lot. Sorry. There's one in particular. Oh, I was listening to Mazzy Star yesterday, like last night. It was really cool.
Nice.
I haven't really properly listened to them before. Does Spotify have like a history thing? Oh, actually, dude, I went for a big long walk yesterday. I listened to a lot of Paul Dempsey yesterday, actually. Betty Wright and The Roots. I don't know if you knew that one, but The Roots did an album with Betty Wright. That's a really good album.
The Roots and Betty Wright. Okay.
Yeah, I listened to that yesterday. Well, Tracy Chapman yesterday, actually. Jesus. Yeah, so
you got me into The Roots, actually.
Yeah. Oh, dude, they're a Philly band. They're fucking awesome.
Oh, they're Philly. Yeah,
they're like one of the mainstays of hip hop, man. Like they got me into that whole world. Is really cool.
Yeah.
Well, that and probably Outkast, like the 2 main hip hop artists that really helped me understand a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. Outside of music, when you think of the word successful, Who is the first person that comes to mind?
Nelson Du Bois, my hero.
Come on.
But outside music, who is the first person that comes to mind when I think of the word successful?
Or even if you can think of a musician, but you think they're successful in other aspects of life.
Ah, man. So, successful. What a word, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess like probably this is music, but like Justin Vernon, like I think he's quite successful. He's very well respected, and he still maintains creativity, and he's at a place where he can help others now, which I think is successful. Like you've got yourself to a point where you now have the means and the ability to help others without killing yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
and that's been a problem for me my whole life. Like, I'm always fucking killing myself for other people, but I've decided to maybe not go so hard on that, which is this whole US EU trip for me is like the first big selfish thing I've done, and like I don't regret it, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, someone else. We're not talking about me. We're talking about someone else who is successful. I'm so sorry, Justin Vernon. Outside of music, though.
Well, I think Justin Vernon's a good example because, you know, I love Justin Vernon and Bon Iver and all the other projects he's involved with, and his music is great, and his music is a huge part of what makes him successful. But I think he's also successful in that he's able to, as you said, he's a great leader, and he works in groups so well, and he's able to be somebody that other artists and other people use as a leg up in some kind of way, you know, as you know.
Oh man, I don't know. There's so many great people, really. I have an answer for it. I have lots of influential people in my life who aren't musicians or artists. I can't think of any right now. Oh, Picasso? No, he's a fuck. He really is a fuck. Like, I think maybe Henri Matisse is one of my favorite artists at the moment, like visual artist.
Okay.
I think he was he was kind of like the opposite end of the avant-garde in the early 1900s, and like him and Picasso were kind of like these rivals, but he's like the sensible working class artist who kind of adopted this idea of the eternal student and he had the ability to sort of like suppress his ego, you know. I think that's successful. I think that's something Picasso really, really lacked. I don't know why I'm talking about that, but,
I think, that's a good
someone
point.
like Henri Matisse is inspiring to me for that reason. You know, he's successful in art, but he's also not a fucking megalomaniac, as far as I know, you know.
Yeah.
And he doesn't treat people like shit, basically.
That's do you have any,
to me.
Yeah, of course. Do you have any resources that you recommend to learn more about Matisse?
Well, I just finished reading a book about Picasso, actually. It was Picasso and the Painting That Shocked the World. That's got a little bit of information on Henri Matisse. If you're interested in Matisse in general, I'd look into his movement. It was called Fauvism, Fauvism. He's French, so all the words are messed up. But that was his movement. He was kind of the leader of that side of avant-garde art, kind of more late Impressionism. And then Picasso sort of moved further into his idea of cubism and everything like that. I'm really interested in that stuff. I love it. And I kind of try to adopt a lot of those things when I make music as well. Like, I think I treat nowadays as a producer in my own work. When I'm in the studio, I'm painting. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even thinking about like song structure or whatever. It's just let the idea sort of roll out. Oh, dude, David Lynch. He's a fucking successful person in my eyes. Like, he had this lifelong career of crazy shit that ended up being quite popular, and that's successful to me. Like, convincing people that art is important on any medium is success. You know, that's the artist's job, I think, is to do that and kind of in a weird way, like this weird martyrdom of like, I will suffer and explain how suffering feels, so you motherfuckers don't have to, you know, and like
Yeah, right.
record it accurately and paint it accurately and put it in a film accurately that describes it. That's music and art to me on a fundamental level. But obviously there are bands I've played in that are just kind of like great songwriting, and that's the focus, you know, like just hit the drums, fucking keep it in time, play the guitar, whatever. But with my personal work, I'd like to take more of an artistic approach. Does that make sense without sounding like a wanker? I don't know.
No, that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned using painting as a metaphor for songwriting, producing, you know, sitting down to make music.
Yeah.
Can you think of any well-known examples, other musicians that?
Well, like, dude, like Alex G really inspired me to take that approach, whether he meant to or not. I don't know, but like that's how I took it. And when I first saw him live, I was like, "Fuck, that's me!" Like I did that, you know. Like I don't give a fuck, and like I've just been so insecure about it and too nervous to show people because, like, I guess the world I was living in was very not like that, you know. But I suppose, Justin Vernon, another great one. Paul Dempsey's a great one. Cat Power's a really good one of just like instilling kind of feelings. James Blake's really good at that. Just like really fractured samples everywhere and like textural rather than virtuosic. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I really enjoy that. all that like shoegaze stuff too. Sorry to cut you off, but like all that shoegazy textural stuff in the 90s, like My Bloody Valentine and everything, was very heavily focused on the holistic art rather than being good at your instrument. Do you know what I mean? It's totally not concerned with that, and I'd always loved that.
Yeah. Okay, next question. When you think of the word punchable, who comes to mind?
Who comes to mind? Punchable. I don't really like the thought of punching someone. I think I'd hurt my wrist. There have been some people who I dislike. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like people who like just think they have to. They just feel like they have to be loud all the time. I don't like that. And maybe I'm loud. I get really excited sometimes, but like I think I don't do it in an arrogant way. And if I do, please tell me. Like
no. Well, I mean, when you're loud, it's out of excitement, not out of trying to be something.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think who comes to mind? One individual, or like just
it's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. What face comes to mind?
Oh. Dude, I'm sorry. I can't think of it right now. There's definitely someone there. Like, I'm not a pure person. I have negative feelings. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's obviously very delicate as well, this going out into public. But yeah. What is the best piece of equipment? That's okay. What is the best piece of equipment up to the value of $100 you've ever purchased?
The value of $100. Something simple. Music sucks because everything's so fucking expensive. And that's even like trying to keep it low. I think maybe like, my brain is not working today. Up to the value of $100. Maybe like a monitor for my laptop or something, like an extra screen, or like a snare drum I really like, or something. Or even to software, like a subscription to some really cool, like Rolling Cloud or something. Like they got some really nice synths in there. Up to the value of $100. What about you? What about you, Nelson? What's the best piece of equipment you own up to $100?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, probably the headphones I'm wearing right now.
What? They're more than $100, dude. They're like
Were they?
They're like $300.
Oh fuck yeah, no, they were. You're right. Yeah, no, you're right.
See, I'm thinking maybe
$100.
like, all right, I think just like general earphones like these are like 20
Yeah.
bucks.
Yeah.
And they're really handy just for listening
Mm.
back. Yeah, maybe a piece of some.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's probably just a really good book, like one that's not necessarily music specific, that just kind of teaches you a new way of thinking of things. I could mention a few, but maybe I won't right now.
Dude. Oh, why not? Hit me with it.
Well, The 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss is a great book, and it just it's a business book in many ways, but it also teaches you how to look at time differently, how to structure it, how to communicate with people in a way that makes them respect the time, and yeah, it's a book about time, really.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I think I from that. But yeah, I didn't even think of it that way. I was thinking like musical equipment straight away, but like you're right, it doesn't have to be. Yeah, maybe a book like that book Focus I was telling you about. Really cool, like $30 in Australia. Yeah. Oh, dude, just like a mic. Like
mic's probably a great one.
Shit, mic, just to record ideas. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely feel the value of a microphone right now, but I don't have one. I mean, well, no, that's not true. I have a microphone, but I don't have an interface.
Yeah.
And that's why the audio quality is so awful on this podcast. I apologize once again, everyone.
When we lived together, you lent me this fucking interface, and I've still got it here in Ireland.
You
from Australia. This fucking Avid Pro Tools Fast Track Duo.
Yeah.
It served me very well. This is what I recorded like the album on, man. Like this 2-track thing. Going back to the album though, it was a lot of swapping out mics and cables and rearranging. Like I was really learning, and then like halfway through the process, I managed to save up enough to buy like an 8-track interface. So like I said, it's just like a ball rolling. But like that song Photo Booth I put out, all on this motherfucker. Like drums were tracked on 2 mics. That song is an absolute Frankenstein pain in the ass song, but I like it that way because it was a learning experience, and that's why it is the way it is. It's ugly, it's gritty, it's not like perfect in any way, and like the main reason being is I was trying to record it on this 2-track little thing, that and a mix of like the computer, and but yeah. So Nelson, come to Ireland and pick that up when all this coronavirus stuff is all blown over, man.
Yeah, I will. Or you can come to Berlin. Either way, we'll meet in the middle. Just meet in Spain or France. Or...
Oh yeah.
Out of curiosity, how did you position those mics? You had 2 mics on the drum kit, did you say?
Yeah. Basically it was a kick mic and a snare mic, basically, but I used this like condenser pencil mic. So it's like a very bright and just overall sound, which made it hard to hone in mixing, but it's fine. You can use anything for anything. Like what I learned was like there's no rules at all, and using things for their intended purpose is like, or should I say not using things for their intended purpose is like rule number 1 of making art. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah,
intended
like I did
purposes
university and all that shit. It's like fucking the only thing I learned from that is that there's no right way of doing anything. You know, it really isn't. You just gotta figure out what's good for you. And yes, there are objective truths and academic methods, but I'm not really interested in that. You know, personally.
I think they'll always be there, those truths, and it's the artist's job to dig a little deeper and
totally.
You know,
yeah, man.
Just excavating around those truths.
Yeah, because like it was like a painting. Like I said, I was recording as I was writing. I wasn't writing on the guitar and then going to the studio. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a very I don't know, different approach I really enjoyed taking, and I think I will continue to do that. That is, I'm learning about myself, and that is how I best operate. Yeah.
Fantastic. I have 2 questions. I want to be mindful of your time and wrap it up reasonably soon.
Cool.
So I guess, assuming that this album that you're about to put out and the singles that you have put out, you should check them out. Maserati and Photobiz out on Spotify. Apple, well, yeah, you can do the plug. Where are they?
Oh, look, man, they're on, everything, whatever. They're on Bandcamp. Bandcamp. They're on Bandcamp.
And that's it. Nowhere else.
No, they're on. They're available for streaming as well. I put out a single Maserati from the album, and then I put out a second single, Photo Booth. Yeah. And I think they represent 2 different sides of the album. I hope people can see that when the album comes out.
Yeah, they're both exceptional. Definitely check them out.
That's very, very nice of you.
A few snippets. So, with the inevitable success of that, you're
fuck yeah, I love that.
So with the hopefully that's successful, and so you're probably gonna. When you find yourself running a business. Which I guess you will be, or even have been to some capacity.
You kind of just do it like inherently. Yeah. Like I suppose I've been doing that since I was 15. I've been playing gigs since I was young, man. Like it just like is what it is.
Does the thought of running a business in this capacity excite you? And like, what's like not artistically speaking, like from a business point of view, what's next for Big Romance, and like how are you going to structure the expected success of your album?
Right. I think like obviously we're living in very turbulent times, and art is at the bottom of the ladder in terms of what's important. So I'm learning to just be really patient and have faith, and to, like I said, I've had lots of time to think about things, and I've just been really patient, and because I'm usually quite go, and it's been great to relax. I don't relax usually. And I suppose like business, like I like it. Like I do like it. But what would be nice, what I like more is just spending that energy and time in making music and art. And eventually, hopefully, someone else does the business stuff and I can just focus on any artist. I think any serious artist that it is taken seriously, like half the battle has just been taken seriously, like, and I've been lucky to have people take me seriously, and believe in me and my ideas. And like, I think, have someone else do that while you can do your thing and still have enough to live is the dream. Like, what am I saying here? I do like the business side of it. It wears me out a lot, and especially the social media side of it. I think I have a lot of trouble dealing with that. I think it's just hard to keep up with, especially with everything going on in the world at the moment. But I'm just going to release the album anyway. Hopefully it helps some people find some clarity in their life. It took me to some crazy places mentally and physically, and man, I think where am I going with this business? I enjoy it. Like I enjoy the hustle sometimes. I love it. Like meeting people, like figuring out what kind of person they are, and like. But I would prefer to just make the art, and I want to go on tour. No, we're talking about the next thing, aren't we? We're talking about like, I would love to do a tour of the album, and I would love to make another record, but I don't really have the means of doing that right now. But it doesn't mean I won't, because like the band I play with, we have a band together to play live shows, but obviously I'm in a different country right now, so it's a little bit hard. And obviously people they have to survive, and they're dealing with their own thing, and patience is key, and we will see through this, and I believe art and music will help people through it all.
All right, well, one last question. Let's say you have 2 billboards. You have one in Rundle Mall in LA. I guess as context, for I mean, I don't know if anyone not from Adelaide will listen to this, but Adelaide is
They will. They will.
is a small capital city of the state of South Australia. Questionable music industry, but also can be a tight-knit community at other times. Yeah, so if you could have one billboard in Rundle Mall, which is a very busy place in Adelaide, and also another one somewhere busy in LA, what would each one of those say?
Right. I think I'd like to have it the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the people can sort of choose for themselves whether they choose to appreciate it or take it seriously or not. It's not really my problem. I've done my work, you know. I think I would say something like, are you talking about like advertising my music or myself or like?
Oh, you can advertise music if you want.
Just
or you
in
could
general,
put
what was my billboards? Probably the billboards would probably have a picture of me like naked doing this, like really. Like, I don't know, man. Like, flipping the bird.
Yeah,
like,
that is the most
sometimes-
Conor Deery answer.
Sometimes I just don't take anything seriously at all, and like it fucking annoys me though. But at other times it's like, oh yeah, I probably should take this serious. Billboards, they'd probably just have like, "Listen to Big Romance, you dickheads," or like something like that. You know?
That is
Not
glorious.
really. I don't know. Something abstract, something vague, like you should like music or you suck. You know.
Yeah. That is exceptional. I cannot wait to spend some more time with you because it's yeah. Germans in general are very not like you, and yeah, it's going to be awesome when this is over and we can hang out again. Anywho, let's sign off. This has been incredible. Yeah, so this is the first interview I've ever recorded.
It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you for being part of it.
Hey, the Nelson Du Bois Show. Bing, bing, bing.
But thank you for listening, everybody, or watching, or tuning in any capacity. Listen to Big Romance, listen to the album. And
yeah, it's coming out.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right. Love you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Take care. Love you, miss you.